Welcome to this month's belated Top 10 Hottest Games Countdown. Earlier this month, I attempted to retroactively release this video on time by tinkering with the space-time continuum, and I gotta say, it was a bit of a learning experience. But rest assured that everything is all back to normal now, and I in no way fractured the entire countdown into an infinite number of splinter universes. Now, let's get started counting down the top 10 hottest board games as of August 2019. Hey there, I'm Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise and BoardGameGeek, and welcome to this month's Top 10 Hottest Games, which is based on the titles that are generating the most traffic and discussion on the BoardGameGeek website over the past 30 days. These games are tracked on the site's hottest games list, and the higher and longer a game remains on that list throughout the course of the month, the higher it ranks on our top 10 overall. 145 different games appeared on our list over the last 30 days, including 8 games in the number 1 slot. Wait, 8 games in the number 1 slot? That doesn't make sense, and that can't be right. You know, let's get this straightened out by starting the countdown with the game in spot number 10. Dropping down 6 spots, but remaining in the top 10 is Star Wars Outer Rim by Fantasy Flight Games. In Outer Rim, you take on the role of an underworld denizen setting out to make your mark on the galaxy and gain the respect of your peers until you inevitably double-cross each other. You will travel the Outer Rim, hire legendary characters to join your crew, and become the most famous, or infamous, outlaw in the galaxy. But it's not going to be easy, since the warring factions of the galaxy are also roaming the Outer Rim, hunting down the scum that have proven to be a thorn in their side. And there's also other scoundrels out there looking to make their mark who see you as the perfect target to bring down to bolster their own reputation. Do you have what it takes to survive in the Outer Rim and become a living legend? Or do you want to just give up and end this segment by making a lazy reference to being frozen in carbonate? Either one works for me. Creeping back onto the top 10 after 3 months away is Arkham Horror, the card game, published by Fantasy Flight Games. Blurring the traditional line between role-playing and card game experiences, Arkham Horror, the card game, is a living card game of Lovecraftian mystery, monsters, and a little bit of madness. Each of your adventures carries you deeper into mystery, where you'll find cultists and foul rituals, you'll find haunted houses, and strange creatures. You may also find traces of the Ancient Ones straining to cross the barriers into our world, so watch where you step. Each choice that you make has consequences that reach far beyond the current scenario at hand, and your actions may earn you valuable experience with which you can better prepare yourself for the adventures that still lie before you in other gaming sessions. Do you have what it takes to become a living legend, or will you end your days frozen in carbonite? See? Making that reference now changes it from just being a lazy joke to being a clever callback. The 1-to-4 player cooperative choose-your-own-adventure style miniatures board game Medora, Unintentional Malm Act 1, holds its footing to retain its spot at number 8 on the countdown this month. Now, Medora, by Succubus Publishing, takes place in an ultra-modern fantasy setting in which players will experience an in-depth, fully narrative-driven adventure that contains over 90 hours of content. And throughout the narrative, players will be forced to make decisions that change the course of the overall storyline and its outcome. Medora, Unintentional Malm Act 1, is a cooperative, choose-your-own-adventure style miniatures board game for 1-to-4 players that comes in on our countdown at whatever number this is. And rising up 29 spaces to end at spot number 1 this month is Aetherfields by Awaken Realms. That doesn't sound right. No. In our timeline, while Aetherfields did spend 8 days of the past month at number 1 on the hotness list, it ends the month overall at number 7. Aetherfields is designed to be a totally different gaming experience as players will dive into a surreal and artistically crafted world and follow a one-of-a-kind co-op or solo campaign adventure for 1-to-4 players. This game will test not only the player's logical skills, but also their intuition, deduction, and emotional intelligence. Characters develop from scratch through deck building and gain experiences by traveling through various dreamlike locations. It's like several realities packed within one another, like a reality turducken. Rising up one spot to number 6 is Terraforming Mars, published by Stronghold Games. In Terraforming Mars, players run colossal corporations competing to transform the Martian landscape into a new world that's capable of providing humanity with a new planet on which to complete their research towards assembling a new form of life and then infuse it with the spark of being. Abomination, the Heir of Frankenstein by Plaid Hat Games, is a competitive game of strategic monster building for 2 to 4 players inspired by Mary Shelley's classic novel of Gothic horror. Now, through worker placement and careful management of decomposing resources, you'll gather materials from cemeteries and morgues around the city, conduct valuable research at the Academy of Science, hire less than reputable associates, and toil away in your lab until you either succeed in bringing your creation to life or the captain kills the creature, whichever comes first. Abomination spent 3 days in the number 1 spot last month and finishes the month at number 55 overall. And in a surprise move, rising 28 spaces to end the month at spot number 1, is the upcoming new edition of PAX Premier by BoardGameGeek Games. What? No. In our timeline, while PAX Premier did spend 3 days at the top of the hotness list, it ends the month at number 5 overall. In PAX Premier, players assume the role of 19th century Afghan leaders attempting to forge a new state after the collapse of the Durrani Empire. Throughout the game, the dominance of different coalitions will be periodically evaluated by the players. If a single coalition has a commanding lead during one of these checks, the players that are loyal to that coalition will receive victory points based on their influence. However, if Afghanistan remains fragmented during one of these checks, players will instead receive victory points based on their personal power base. The game ends when a single player is able to achieve a lead of 4 or more victory points, or after the 4th and final dominance check is resolved. Stepping up 2 spots to end at number 4 this month is Root by Leader Games. Root is an area acquisition adventure in which adversaries arrange an array of animal armies in animosity against an arrogant enemy, Marquis de Cat, who aims to amass all the agricultural acreage across the area. As an after effect, the aforementioned animal armies amass to reacquire them at all. Additionally, epic achievements alter each environment itself and augment arrangements in which ethereal entities, people, and nature all interact. Players will quest through an interwoven arrangement of adventures, establishing the echoes of elected actions across the ages. Choices that are made while playing Trudvang Legends manifest themselves physically as parts of the board actually change, making the actions of previous hero generations affect future sagas. However, these changes are only permanent as long as history remembers them, which makes the game endlessly replayable, and even playing the same adventure book repeatedly will have a completely different feeling because the world itself will have changed. Heroes, following a path of destiny, will even become historical fixtures as they become kings, guildmasters, or even demigods. And after spending 4 days at number 1 last month, Trudvang Legends by CMON Games ends the month overall at number 35. And in a surprise move, debuting on the countdown and spot number 1 is the upcoming new edition of Predaporter by Portal Games, an economic strategy game set in the world of fashion, which finishes the month at number 31 overall after spending 4 days at the top of the list. And though Predaporter, which I am completely aware I'm pronouncing incorrectly, thank you very much, is a game in which players run clothes companies and fight for dominance during fashion shows, revealing a surprisingly ruthless underbelly of the fashion industry. However, this game is not number 1 on our countdown this month. It's not even number 3. Number 3 is Wingspan by Stonemaier Games, which continues nesting at number 3, as I just said. Wingspan is a competitive, medium-weight, card-driven, engine-building game in which players are researchers, birdwatchers, ornithologists, and collectors, each seeking to discover and attract the best birds to their network of wildlife preserves. And in a surprise move, rocketing up 110 spots to end the month at number 1 is the upcoming new edition of Dune by Gale Force 9, which, after starting off the month at the top of the hotness list for 2 solid days, ends the month at number 17 overall. Wait, now imagine that you could control the forces of a noble family, guild, or religious order on a barren planet which is the only source for the most valuable substance in the known universe, a mysterious spice only found at great cost on the planet Dune. Or Dune, or Dune. Dune is a game that players have been playing and talking about for 40 years. Another game that I feel like I've been talking about for 40 years is a game that comes in at number 2 this month, Gloomhaven by Cephalofair Games. Gloomhaven is a game with a persistent and changing world that is ideally played over many game sessions. After each scenario, players make decisions on what to do next, which determines how their story continues, resulting in many different outcomes that their adventures can take. Playing through a scenario is a cooperative affair where players will fight against automated monsters using an innovative card system to determine the order of play and what a player does on their turn. At this point, the only way a modern board gamer hasn't heard about Gloomhaven yet is if they've been frozen in carbonite for the past 40 years. And by mentioning the carbonite thing again, it's now evolved from just a throwaway joke into a fully formed running gag. And finally, in a surprising move, rising 0 spots to retain the #1 spot for a second month in a row, is The Seventh Continent, published by Serious Pulp. Yeah, that's the right one. Okay. In The Seventh Continent, a solo or cooperative choose-your-own-adventure exploration board game, players choose a character and then begin their adventure on their own or with a team of other explorers. They'll discover a wild new land through a variety of terrain and event cards, while encountering danger and wonders and having to use every ounce of wit and cunning that they have available to survive. And there you have it, this Fragmented Universes list of the top 10 most popular board games as of August 2019. And now that everything finally seems to be getting back to normal, be sure to subscribe for more board game news, countdowns, previews, and playthroughs. Until next time, I've been Zach Relram from Pair of Dice Paradise and BoardGameGeek. Take care.